Let's create a M67 fragmentation grenade using a sub-D modeling workflow without any booleans. If you look up a grenade tutorial for Blender on YouTube, you will find a bunch of videos on how to make them. Some use booleans, some won't. And I'm sick of seeing the same grenade. Let's make this guy over here. This is a very famous grenade. You've seen it in hundreds of movies and video games. If you play Call of Duty or Battlefield, you're still probably using it. So let's create this thing right inside of Blender. Alright, so I'm first gonna start with my reference image. Obviously, you can just find this online. Make sure you use the right one. I also found this PDF about, specifics of the grenade. The only thing I care about is the diameter. So that's what I'm using. Also, this image that I have on screen right now is a prop grenade. It's not a real M67. The shape can vary. I'm gonna go with like a slight apple-shaped grenade. So it's not perfectly circular, but make yours the way you want to make it look. You're free in that regard. So I'm gonna use a sphere because that's the closest thing to this shape. Why make it difficult? And I'm gonna move some of the edge loops, shape them, scale them up, and at the top I'm just gonna extrude that bit and give it a little bit of a lip and add some edge loops, and of course add a subdivision modifier. And I'm gonna delete the top because you won't be able to see it anyway, and it's gonna sharpen that edge. So for that top piece, I'm basically gonna create a cube. But the minute you subdivide a cube, it will turn into a sphere. It's very important to set the edge loops strategically in this model. It's got all kinds of curves on the sides, and if you look on like Sketchfab models for reference, the way other people model it, it's like everybody modeled a different grenade. This thing never seems to look the same, which makes it harder to make it look like a real one, but I guess nobody, really checks it unless you have one laying around by accident. Yeah. I'm just gonna let this play as well, by the way. I'm not gonna cut anything out, so, in case like you see anything that was vague, you can pause it and rewind it. It's sped up so you can play it in slow motion, but generally it's really about when you have a sub-D modeling workflow, you have to think a lot about preparing the shape of the model. And what I mean by that is you obviously do not have the solution of Boolean anymore, right? Because you have to model everything. The pro of that is that the topology is already clean. Okay. See, the way I made this bit, it was a bit tricky. I'm not happy the way I did it. In the end, it still worked fine. And when you see like the final product rendered and everything, also textured, which is very important. That's a whole different side of things, but I will make a tutorial on that after this one. I've seen some of you guys' comments. Some people, I believe one comment asked for a texturing tutorial. You see, I fucked that up right over there, so I redid it. Yeah, one person asked for a texturing tutorial for characters, but which I will do, by the way. I think it's a very interesting topic. It's about like how Fortnite or Overwatch textures their characters, because it's very specific. But I like to do one on this grenade as well, and dedicate a whole separate video on it, because what I notice? Not many people incorporate storytelling in their textures. What I mean by that is, say you use Substance Painter, and Substance has, if you know, Substance has smart masks, and basically what it does is it grabs the, if your model has a curve map, and if you don't have one, you just bake it in Substance and you get one. But it basically grabs the curve map and any other maps that it has, and you can apply like the gunmetal, gun scratches, or whatever it's called, one of the most overused smart masks, and it will add all these scratches and make it look beautiful and whatnot, scratching up your model on the edges and everything. But when you see it the first time, you might like overuse it, and somebody that's already, let's say a seasoned professional, who's seen that so many times already, might look at that and say, yeah, you need to work on your texturing. And you might think, well, it looks good, but it doesn't look logical though. That's the problem. If something had scratches, I mean, think about it, something like this grenade, it would have scratches on the outside. On the top, maybe it's been like thrown around or stored in a warehouse and they throw the grenades around. There might be like mild scratching. Maybe it was used in war but never like used offensively. It was never like used to kill somebody, so the grenade was never actually used. The pin was always in there, and it might be like dirty and scratched up. You have to think of these things, and the minute you do that, the minute you engage that part of storytelling, I'm telling you, your storytelling, your texturing will instantly be far better than people that don't incorporate that. Storytelling is very important. You see it everywhere. And sometimes when I look like at an object, let's say like I live in a city, so you see a lot of like rusty shit everywhere basically. I wonder like graffiti on a wall or something, like who put that there and when did they do it and how did they do it? Were they actually making an artwork, or did they just run quickly, grab the bottle of spray paint, make the wall look like shit and run off? So you have to think of these things. And yeah, I mean, it depends on what you're doing as well. Like right now I'm making a hero prop model. If this was a low poly grenade that background characters would be using, or it's laying in a scene, yeah, maybe I'm not gonna put so much effort into it because it might be like in my scene out of focus, the camera isn't even focusing on it, so why would I spend so much time on it? Yeah, these are things to think about, but I will go fully in depth about it in the next tutorial after this one. Another thing that I often see in with beginners, and I used to do the same thing as well, is modeling everything out of one object. It's completely fine, and as a matter of fact, look at how the grenade was made in real life, or any object for that matter. So in this case, I'm making the lever and the pin and all that stuff out of separate objects. And sure, I might not have gotten everything right. Again, I'm using this prop grenade as a reference because, for one, I thought it looked really cool. And it's got very high quality images that I can use as a reference. That's really all that matters. Even if it doesn't look real, I can make my grenade look real by doing a good job on the textures. And and I do have that image right there. I do believe that is a real grenade because it was part of a documentation that was talking about the different parts and pieces of the grenade and some of its history and whatnot. Yeah, once you understand like how like sub-D modeling, if you have a square, you see that hole that's right there on the corner. If you have an edge loop and you pull that closer to the edge, it will sharpen it. Whereas if you don't have it, it will be very round. Once you understand that workflow, you can pretty much work your way around a lot of stuff without using booleans. Now, if you're talking about doing complex shapes, like let's say make a star and then, I don't know, like cut out a very specific logo or a shape with a subdivided model. Obviously, the model, given that you do not apply the subdivision modifier, then it's going to be a bit more interesting, difficult. You have to really plan ahead of time and look at the logic of the way the topology works. You know, you don't have to guess it. You have to. That's another thing that really like can boost your workflow. Look at the logic of it, and if you don't know how, just Google it. I might make a video on that as well, by the way, if people want it. So if you guys want that, if you want a tutorial on like to understand sub-D modeling a bit better, yeah, let me know, you know, in the comments. See, you guys, some of you are commenting some stuff that you want to see, like hair cards, because I know like the past videos that I've made were all character related. And by all means, my main thing, I'm a character artist before anything. So I usually don't do like hard surface modeling stuff, but it's stuff that you pick up along the way as you're learning, right? Like I know Blender for over 4 years now. You will pick up a lot of stuff, even if you didn't think you were going to be a hard surface modeling artist and you focus only on doing sculpts. You're most likely going to learn it if you're going to touch on every area of, you know, 3D basically. I'll say the one thing that I have like mild experience in is environmental design. Like, yes, I've done the interior design tutorials from Blender Guru, but I'm talking about like making an environment from scratch or like a video game or something. That's the next thing I want to do. And I got to learn, you know. I myself, I have to look up tutorials on like the thought process, not so much on the modeling, but rather like how do you plan this stuff out? How do you like go about blocking it out? Is it similar to an animation? So yeah, you can see over here I'm cleaning up some stuff, adding some edge loops, making sure that topology is spaced out. Because with sub-D, if you have two edge loops too close to each other, it could sharpen things a bit. I mean, that's why you would usually do it, but if it looks ugly, you might want to space them out. And use bool tools, by the way. If you want to make a perfect circle, just let bool tools help you. You know, it will do the work for you. It's just a very simple, you know, it's an add-on that comes with Blender, so it's not like a third-party paid add-on or anything like that. So yeah, don't worry about that. You see that one hooked, like crooked pin on the right? That's basically a safety pin or lever, whatever you want to call it, to hold the pin in place. Now, I didn't model that for this grenade because, you know, I figured let's live on the edge, you know, let's be dangerous. But the real reason I didn't model it was in some references I saw the pin, in others I didn't, so I figured let's just pick and choose, and maybe our grenade doesn't have it, you know. If you do want to model it, go ahead. I would suggest, you know, maybe just tracing the shape with a vertex, applying a skin modifier on it, scaling that down, and you know, adding basically the way I'm doing this right now. You see, I have a subdivision, then a skin modifier, then another subdivision modifier. If you put a skin modifier on your vertices or your edge, it will be blown up. So you press Control A and then slide it down, and it will scale everything down. Yeah, over here I had to do some manual work to fix this ugly mess. And that bin looked quite big in the end, so I had to scale it down. Yeah. And that's fine too. You see what I did? I deleted like all the edge loops in between that you couldn't see anyway and just bridged them. You know, which is one of the ways you can go about it. And for the ring, I use a screw modifier. You just make one face and use a screw modifier and make sure the orientation is correct. That's something I always have to play with. And then apply your rotation. Always apply. Whenever you make a change in object mode, you have to apply the rotation, scale, or position. Now, if you make the same changes in edit mode, you wouldn't have to do that. So that's a little tip. Again, I applied the screw modifier and then did some manual tweaking there. And this ring, the way I made it in this video, looked far too big, which honestly, I kind of liked the way it looked ridiculously large. You know, honestly, why not? Just do what looks good to you. Like I also made that one part black, which on the original grenade is like just metal, like chrome or whatever. I just made it black because it looked cool. I introduced to you the final product. Now watch this. Switch environments. LUT enabled. Switch the LUT. Wear out the grenade. Look at that. So let's have a look at this grenade. Change back the environment. So there's a lot going on here. And I made this little, you know, the remove before flight, change it to remove before pin. So if we look at the textures here, you see how the top of it is very, like, I added a coat of dust, like this grenade has been sitting on a shelf. But then the sides would obviously not have it, because if we think about it logically, dust would fall with gravity from the top down. And if this grenade was sitting upright like this, the bottom and the sides would not have any like dust, right? These scratches were drawn on with the pen tablet over here. I made like a little count, as if, like, let's say the soldier that used this was using his grenade to count the kills that he made, and like this one had 7 kills, maybe more, maybe he died. Anyway, I did use a combination of smart masks to have these areas be scratched up, but then I would like remove the other bits that were too much. And yeah, we can like really go in here. Let me remove like this. We can really go in here and focus on these details, and you can see how like crisp they are. See? It gives you that really like nice realistic look. And we're rendering this in Eevee right now in real time, so you could import this in Unreal Engine and let Lumen do its magic work and really bring out the full potential out of this one. Or, you know, render it with cycles or any like non-biased renderer. But yeah, I think it came out pretty well. You know, nice little project to work on. And yeah, change the environment. Now we're in a nice peaceful scenery, and we're about to blow shit up. No, just joke. Go back. Alright, that was the video. I hope you guys learned something from that. I hope it was useful. If you guys like to see a more in-depth tutorial on how to use the sub-D modeling workflow, please leave a comment down below. Like I said, I will upload a video next week about how to texture this exact grenade. I might just do it from scratch to show you how I did it, so make sure you stay tuned. I upload every week on a weekend, so make sure you hit that subscribe button with the bell notification icon as well. Leave a comment down below about what you liked about the video, whatever else you'd like to see me cover, and I'll see you in the next video.